So everyone gets arrested, and then the trial officially starts on September 30th, 1985.
Yes.
And when the judge started selecting the jurors, he actually selected them anonymously, so their names were secret. So no one was going to potentially get bought off or killed and so forth.
Exactly.
So then the trial officially starts on October 24th, 1985, with 22 total defendants, all of them Sicilian. In New York.
Yeah.
Right. This trial would go on to last 16 months, which is the longest criminal jury trial in U.S. history to this day.
But it ended in convictions.
It did. Okay. But then, around 1 month after the start of the trial, Paul Castellano, who is the boss of the Gambinos, ends up getting killed by John Gotti, yes, with Sammy the Bull involved in it also. And I interviewed Sammy, and we went into the whole details of it.
Yeah.
When that happened, did that set some sort of stigma on the trial with the craziness that was happening outside the trial?
No. It had really nothing to do with the trial. We had solid evidence from wiretaps and Steve Hobson buying the heroin from Catalano and those people in New York, and me buying the heroin from the other Sicilians connected with Cesare Bonaventure and Catalano. So it didn't have any bearing on it. Not that I saw.
Okay, but then by 1987, as the trial is progressing, on February 12th, the cousin of the main Sicilian boss, who we talked about, Pietro Alfano, was walking with his wife carrying groceries in Greenwich Village in New York, and 3 guys show up and actually shoot him in the head.
Yeah, because they were afraid he was going to cooperate. I used to call him Buffono Alfano. He was a buffoon, and so I think they saw that, and they weren't going to take any chances. Because the government was actively trying to flip him, to be an informant.
Okay, and from what I understand, it was a $40,000 hit on him, and 3 men were later arrested for the murder, who I guess were part of the Gambino crime family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then Pietro Alfano ends up getting killed in the middle of the trial, and at that point, the judge actually sequestered the jury, which meant that he put them in hotel rooms in order to protect them?
Yes.
Okay, so the trial is dragging on, and it's finally coming to its conclusion, and the lawyers are starting to, are trying to defend their clients the best they can, but it's not going very well. And as the jury is starting to deliberate, one of the jurors actually received a threatening phone call and ended up excusing themselves from the trial because they were too scared they might get killed over being a jury member.
But you had the alternates.
Right.
There, yeah.
Okay. After the jury deliberated, all 19 defendants were convicted. Badalamenti and Catalano both got 45 years. Since Badalamenti was actually extradited from Spain, there was a deal in place that he would actually get a maximum of 30 years. But he ended up dying in prison in 2004 at age 80, which is 13 years before he would have actually gotten out.
Yeah.
You took the stand in the trial?
Excuse me?
Did you take the stand in the trial?
I took the stand in Philadelphia. See, what they did, they split it up. It was a turf war. Who was going to get all the defendants? So they decided all the deals that I did in Philadelphia, they would try all those people in Philadelphia. Steve Hobson testified in New York. And we were the only undercover agents that actually bought heroin from the Sicilians.
Okay. And from what I understand, this was sort of a very monumental trial for the FBI in terms of working with other agencies, working internationally, setting up departments in other countries, which even to this day, with all the cyber crimes and everything else, like the work from that trial is still being used today.
Yeah. See, you have to understand that at that time, DEA was already in 50 different countries. We had established ourselves back in FBN and BNDD. The FBI then finally was able, with their legats, to go into the different countries. And it worked out real well for them because then they got into the cyber crimes and all that. They did some narcotic cases in Europe, but primarily it was us and customs working overseas, because they sent me over and I was narcotic attaché for 3 years from 88 to 91. And I was chief U.S. advisor to the Italian police agencies on narcotics. And that's when I worked with Giovanni Falcone. And unfortunately, he was murdered with his wife in 91. And he was such a devoted person. The FBI even offered him a job in Washington to be their man on the mafia, but he just didn't want to leave Italy.